Hi, friends. Thanks so much for joining me in this episode of Beautifully Complex. It is January 1st. If you are watching or listening to this episode on the first day that it comes out, it's a day with a lot of expectations, right? We are taught to set New Year's resolutions. We're taught to work harder at at goal setting and at achieving goals than we have done so far, right? We're taught that we need to do more so that we can achieve more, and that's what New Year's is all about, this fresh start. And as I was thinking about how I wanted to really record a hopeful message for you, I was brought to tears this morning because I'm not feeling particularly hopeful right now myself. I am really struggling. And I really am always about showing up for you in a real and genuine way. And so I was trying to consider how could I bring you a message that was going to help you to keep going while also being genuine about my own feelings and my own struggle and my own sort of love-hate relationship with hope, which I've had for a long time. I wrote a blog post back in 2015 about how Hope and I have this love-hate relationship because I get really hopeful, and then if I get let down, then it hurts, and it feels like it hurts more than if I just didn't hope that much and accepted what comes, right? And what I sort of came to after a lot of consideration is that there is really a genuine message of hope that I can share with you right now. It's not that shiny, forward-looking kind of hope that we usually associate with New Year's, and I think that's exactly why it actually matters. I'm not feeling hopeful because hope asks for certainty, and uncertainty is what I am struggling with so much. Uncertainty in keeping my business going and being able to continue to help all of you. Uncertainty with what the future looks like for my kids. Uncertainty with getting older and all that that brings. That message typically looks like, I know it's going to get better. This year is definitely going to be different. I see the path before us, right? That kind of hope requires energy and vision and nervous system bandwidth. And I just don't have those things today. I am not showing up for you today in that type of energy. When we're tired, like really, really tired, those things just aren't accessible. But there is another kind of hope that doesn't require pretending that we're okay. It doesn't require masking. And it sounds more like, I don't know how this is going to unfold yet, but I'm still here. I don't have answers, but I have not quit. And I am allowed to begin without belief, just a willingness to begin, a willingness to start if I'm scared, to start if I don't feel really optimistic about the outcome. And so many of us, as parents of neurodivergent kids, we enter January exhausted, not inspired. We've had half a year of school struggles. We have had family interactions, parties, the stress of the holidays, because let's face it, as a parent, there's stress that comes with holidays, especially if you can't afford the extra expense. And December just takes a lot, and parenting takes a lot. And now we're putting those two things together. We're layering them on top of each other. And then we're supposed to just slide right into January 1st, like everything is hunky dory and it's all going to be better and everything is right with the world, right? So if you're starting this year feeling heavy instead of hopeful, like I am, I want you to know, me too. I am too. I am feeling heavy. I am struggling. And it is okay. It is okay to feel however we feel. As I said, as I prepared to record this episode, I really struggled with how to offer you hope when I'm not feeling very hopeful myself. And as you can tell, that brought a lot of tears. And I texted a couple of friends about it, and my dear friend Sarah picked up the phone and called me. And as you can imagine, listening to me right now, for the first few minutes, I could barely speak. She mostly just listened to me sob. And then she listened to what I'm going through and how I'm feeling with so much empathy and compassion. So here I am trying to help you walk into another new year with self compassion and grace, while also being very real and very genuine, obviously. So, what can we do with how we are feeling right now? We can reframe the idea of hope. Hope is typically framed as a belief in a certainty, a clarity that things are going to improve, that the future is going to be better and brighter. And it requires that type of energy to envision change. We have to have some energy to imagine that things can be different and better because we have to contribute to that, right? And when you're burned out, it's so much harder. We have all of this nervous system fatigue. We're living more often in dysregulation than not. We're in this sort of chronic problem solving mode. These things are hard. These things are challenging. We're struggling with this. I need to figure out how to go forward. That requires a lot of problem solving. And we are spending years of our lives advocating, adjusting, and trying to hold it together. And sometimes we just can't. But here's the bright spot of burnout. If we can find a bright spot, this is it. Burnout is information, just like behavior is communication and it's a signal. Burnout is the same. It is telling us what we need. It's not failure. It's not a failure of being able to keep it all together into perpetuity. It's information. Our body is saying, I need less. I need less demand. I need less problems to solve right at this moment. I need less input. I need less sensory. I need less struggle. I don't need more resolve. I don't need to pull up my big girl panties, put on a brave face, pretend like everything's okay, and go forward that way, right? That's what we tend to think of as New Year's. It's like this renewed resolve for making change. But if we're burned out, we need less of all of that. And what I've learned over the years when I felt like hope has carried me and then let me down is that when hope feels inaccessible, we can't force it. And I think that's kind of what I was trying to do here this morning. I was realizing that, weeks ago I had planned to record this message of hope and optimism to help inspire you to keep going. And when I showed up to do that, it didn't feel genuine. Hope just didn't feel accessible to me today. And I could have forced it. I could have tried to hold back the tears, pretended that everything's hunky dory, right? I could have masked and recorded this really disingenuous message about how hope is going to carry you and how that's what you need. But I didn't want to do that. I always, as I said right from the start, I want to be real and genuine with all of you. And so we need a new definition, right? That doesn't require us to believe in something that we can't see or know to be true yet. It doesn't require us to have this high energy around it. Hope doesn't have to be optimism. And this is something new for me. It is not a thought that I've ever had before. But hope doesn't have to be optimism. Instead, it can be support. It can be steadiness. It can be permission. It can be just one tiny next doable step. Sometimes just moving forward in the tiniest of ways is actually practicing hope. because we're moving forward. So, what I have come to today for myself, and hopefully this rings true for many of you as well, is that we need to start without certainty. We need to start scared. We need to start anxious. We need to start slow and small. Beginning doesn't require confidence. We think it does. We definitely think it does. We think that confidence is the fuel to start doing something, but it really doesn't require confidence. It just requires a sense of safety and a feeling that you are not alone, that there is someone else in your corner too, someone that you can lean on. Ooh. Sometimes the most helpful thing isn't believing that it's all going to work out. And gosh, it took me a long time to get there. I wanted everything to work out. That's what we do. We love our kids, we love people, and we want things to work out. But what we have to understand is that's not the human experience. Sometimes things work out, sometimes things don't. So instead of trying to force ourselves to believe that everything's going to work out, we can just choose not to carry it by ourselves. We don't need to know what next year is going to hold, and we can't. Instead, we need a place where we can set things down when they get hard, where people can help us to hold things up that need to be held up, even though they're hard. So let's talk about some more small reframes. We've reframed hope. It does not need to be optimism. It can be starting small. It can be taking a tiny step forward and leaning on others, finding support and using that support. So thinking about, instead of what needs fixing, we can ask ourselves, what feels hardest right now? What is the one thing, not the 10 things, but the one thing that feels hardest right now? Instead of thinking about goals, I want you to think about capacity. Each new year, I choose a word of the year. And it's not really about a goal. It's not about money or things, or particular trips or vacations. I try to pick a word that is going to help to carry me, a word that I really want to focus on, because I know focusing on it is going to help carry me. And this year, I'm thinking my word is likely going to be capacity, because I have to start focusing on my own capacity too, not just what needs to get done. And then instead of consistency, because oh my gosh, consistency is so hard when things are hard, right? Consistency is, it just feels undoable when everything is so heavy and you're carrying it all. So let's not think about being consistent. Let's think about being responsive, responsive in the ways that we want to. How can we respond to the needs that our kids and our families have without taking on all of the burdens ourselves? How can we be responsive in showing up in the way that we want to show up for others, for our kids, for our partners, for our families? And then instead of doing more, because please, please, please stop trying to do more. It's something that I am working so hard on myself. Instead of doing more, we need to reduce the friction, and we need to focus on feeling better, feeling good. Because when people feel good, they're able to do good. If we don't feel good, we are not ever able to do good. It just isn't possible. It isn't possible. Your kid doesn't need some new and transformed New Year's version of you. They just need you. They need you depleted less. They need you supported more. They need you minding your capacity. I have seen families that I coach change, not through more effort, but through support, through learning how to make pivots that honor capacity, that are neuroaffirming, and that are foundational for our kids to thrive and ourselves to thrive. through pacing, not trying to change everything at once, but prioritizing and pacing what we're working on. And of course, through that nervous system first approach, perspective, and care, because our nervous system dictates how we feel, and we need to feel good to do good. Burnout is not going to lift because you try harder. It lifts when we stop doing it all and we stop doing it alone. I really want that to sink in. Burnout lifts when we stop trying to do it all and we stop trying to do it alone. I hear parents say, I just need to catch my breath. I need a reset. I myself often think I need a reset. I need someone to walk with me, not tell me what I'm doing wrong. Now, this podcast episode and the message that I'm sharing with you, it's not about promoting anything. I promise. This is genuine and from the heart. But I'm realizing as I have been talking to you that I was actually seeing this need in other parents before I was really seeing it in myself, because I have been working on a growth sprint called Burned Out to Back on Track. And it is a 6-week done with you mentorship to help you and your kid through this season of being burned out and getting back on track and being able to move forward again and feeling good again. I created it for this exact reason that we're talking about right now. And it just clicked for me that I actually saw that need in others and didn't even recognize it in myself until I started thinking about hopefulness and optimism. So I do want to share with you about Burned Out to Back on Track. If you think it's something that you might be interested in, it is part of the Regulated Kids Project membership. It's very affordable at $35 a month. There will be continual growth sprints throughout the year, or you can buy one particular sprint for $70. They're really short on purpose. They are going to feel very doable when things are heavy. They are going to feel very supportive because it's not about fixing. It's not about me pushing you. It's just about stabilizing and rebuilding capacity. The whole first week in this growth sprint, we work on acknowledging, identifying, noticing, having awareness around your capacity, your kids' capacity, and the things that we can do to build capacity. It's about nervous system first, always. And that is one of the 4 core principles that I lean heavily on in parenting, in my own parenting and the parenting that I teach and guide others through. We have to parent nervous system first, because if a kid is dysregulated, none of any of the greatest strategies in the world are going to work. We have to be regulated. I also lean heavily on the fact that small steps that are achievable build success. We can't go from my kid can't ride a bike to literally 1 second and your kid is out there like doing mountain biking race courses and winning, right? We can't even go in 1 second from can't ride a bike to fully on their own riding a bike. But we tend to want to change things in that time frame and in that way. But what really matters most and what really works best is if we take those tiny steps that we can have success with, because success breeds more success. Success breeds the attitude that I can keep trying. We have to feel like things are doable, even if they're challenging, to keep trying. That's true for our kids. It's true for us as well. Relief over results is one of those 4 core principles. How we feel and how we make others feel matters way more than what we do, what we achieve, what we attain, what we have, right? How we feel and how we make our kids feel and other people feel is so important. And then lowering pressure and increasing support. That is where these shifts start to happen. We're not pressuring because pressure shuts people down. We're supporting. This isn't about becoming a different parent. It's about feeling like yourself again. And it's about being able to show up for your kid in the way that you want to, and in the ways that are going to help them to find their own successes, to help them feel good, to help them get back on track at school, to help them, uh, have smoother afternoons and evenings. So we're not just looking at in this burned out to back on track growth sprint, we're not just looking at capacity and how we feel and burnout, but we're also looking at what strategies, what rhythms and flow can we put in place so that things are doable again. So, if this is the year that you stop pushing and you start supporting yourself, I'm going to be there. I am so there for that. Stop pushing and start supporting yourself. You don't need hope to take the next step. I have been struggling with hope all year, but I continue to get out of bed every day. I continue to show up. I continue to lean into my purpose of helping others. And it helps me to keep taking that next step. So you just need care, you need support, and the ability to keep going will naturally evolve from that. Please take good care. I'll see you in the next episode.